I'm delighted to say former England manager Steve McClaren joins just back from Israel in a coaching consultancy role at Maccabi Tel Aviv. I've spent a little bit of time with him lately at games, and he is itching to get back into football.
I think it's in the blood. I think, I've tried. I've had spells out the game, and if you yourself finishing playing, going into TV, if you ever go into coaching, you want to do that, managing. It's very much an up and down world, very much more downs than ups, as you know, as a player. But as a manager, it's ballooned out of all expectation. But it's kind of having a team, involved when you're playing, and you're playing with a team. It's that camaraderie, it's that crossing the white line, it's that bond that you get together. And that's similar to a manager. It's about having a team, building a team, developing individual players. And that was from 31 years old when I just happened to be given an opportunity to coach the youth team and reserve teams at Oxford. Wanted to do. I've looked at other things, sports directorship, looking at punditry and things like that, but I'm a coach. I'm fascinated by the game. I love the game. Win or lose or draw, how frustrating it can get back on the bike, win this game, develop players, work tactics, and I think the game is changing and evolving, and that's what I like about it. And it's about what's in front of you and what's not behind you. So there might be 60,000, there might be 500 people behind you, but it's what's in front of you, that team that we love, and the adrenaline of the games and the winning, which keep us going.
Yeah, you've spoke about the ups and downs of managerial life, coaching life. One manager who's certainly having a little bit of a dip at the moment, and you can see it visibly in him, is Antonio Conte. What do you make of that situation at Chelsea at the moment?
Well, it's the cycle of Chelsea, isn't it? It's bringing a manager, all the excitement, they win the league, they win a double. The second season is a nightmare for whatever reason. That might be the coach, and that might be the board behind. That might be the way that Chelsea is run. But I think as a Chelsea, as you go in, you have a year of success, and maybe the coach gets a lot of power and wants to start dictating a little bit more in terms of the future and going off what the club wants. And I think Conte suffered from this. I think they're self-destructing. That's what I think at the present moment. And that was from the start of the season. Costa was the talisman for Chelsea last season. He was the main reason for me. He was the leader, the focal point of everything. To lose him in the manner that they did, not quietly, it was a saga that ran on and on. And Ruiz is in and out the team. He was a mainstay last season. So he's kind of lost two players there, and one player who was massive for
him. And Matic, let's not forget as well.
Sorry?
And Matic as well, let's not forget. It was crucial with that partnership with Conte in midfield.
To that, it's crazy. I can't see that is a Conte decision. I just can't understand some of the decisions that are made at football clubs. But there again, you don't know until you're there, until you're behind the scenes that you know. But I definitely think because of that, Costa, Ruiz, Matic going to Manchester United is not the power, the control that Conte had last season. Once you lose control at a massive club like Chelsea, you can see it. You've seen it before, and you're seeing it again.
You've had to deal, Steve, with a lot of different types of chairmen, chief executives. Steve Gibson at Middlesbrough, by all accounts, is as solid as they come. You've obviously had Mike Ashley at Newcastle, Mel Morris at Derby County. How difficult is it? And going back to the Conte one, should he have known the path and the way it is at Chelsea, or does he then, after that 12 months of real success, think, well, I can start shifting things around there? But is it very much dependent on the hierarchy in terms of, day to day? How difficult can that be?
That's one of the challenges, and the main challenge now of managing is not just dealing with the players, dealing with the media, dealing with press, but managing upwards is absolutely key. And that's why you've got to not so much do your homework, but go into a new situation, into a new club with your eyes open. and the relationship. I always remember leaving Manchester United and asking Sir Alex for advice. And he said to me, "Look, don't go for the club, don't go for the size of the stadium, whatever." He says, "Just go for the owner, go for the chairman, go for the one who's running things, deciding things. Get a relationship with him. If you feel comfortable with him, then go with that, not anything else." And that has been rule of thumb. And you've got to know, I went in with Steve Gibson knowing that he would give you time. He gave me 5 years. He could have sacked me 2 or 3 times easily within that period, but stuck with me. And I've gone in with my eyes open in terms of, Mel Morris at Derby, and, knowing that I was the 7th manager going in 18 months, the 7th manager going in. I knew it was a volatile situation. And you kind of know that. So you know that, this could be 3 months, this could be 3 years, this could be 10 years. It's that volatile. So I think you've got to know, you've got to have a relationship with the owner and the chairman. You've got to have an honest one, a truthful one, and you've got to go ride the blows, go with the ups and downs, but be on the same page. Once you're off that page, once you're fighting with the chairman, you're a dead man walking. And I've had that, quite a few times. And I've had it the other way where my relationship, and because of the relationship with the owner, chairman, I've been given time to get over the hump, because you will get over the hump. It's a little bit like, I always say, chairman, owners, everybody goes through a bad patch. And the sign of a good club, successful club, is that when you do go through that bad patch, you stand by each other and you back each other and you see it all the way through until such time as you think, this isn't working. But in quite a few instances now, people are pulling the trigger far too quickly.
Well, one club, Steve, who certainly haven't pulled the trigger quickly has been Arsenal. Now, Arsene Wenger, when he first came to England, you would have been at Manchester United as the assistant manager. I'm sure you would have come up against his teams down through the years. Very, very impressive in his early years, and had a reputation of someone who would nurture talent. Now, I've been quite critical of Arsene Wenger in recent seasons in terms of, I don't think he's interested in playing the game without the actual football, Steve. I think he's that obsessed with his own team, but they aren't as good as they were in that era, when you would have been managing against them. So what's your take on Arsenal as the club now, and Arsene Wenger in terms of where he stands right now in terms of his legacy with Arsenal?
Wow, that's a good question, and one in which I've many friends who are Arsenal fans, and I've always said to them when, Arsene must go, be careful what you wish for, be careful what you wish for. It's not easy managing a top club for 16, 18 years, however many he's done, and been successful in the top 4 for that amount of time. I can imagine, okay, he goes, then Arsenal will honestly could really dip unless they get it right. It's got to be right on the field, it's got to be right off the field. And I think they're structuring the club in such a way, and Arsene Wenger's led it, and he's got total control of doing it. I hated playing against Arsenal teams, because on any given day, the way that they play football, I always said 3 or 4 years ago, if I ever bought a season ticket in the Premier League, that season ticket would be at Arsenal, because of the style of the football, the energy, the way that they built on possession, lost the ball, pressed, won the ball back quickly, counter-attacked, could open teams up, go around you, through you, over you. They had everything. Early days at Manchester, they had such a rock-solid defence in which it was built from. I think that's the only thing that's missing with Arsenal, and I can't understand why, is that I would think my first job going into Arsenal would be to buy defenders, to make sure that, Sir Alex always used to say, last 10 games of the season, please, clean sheets. I want 0 goals against, because we'll always score. And that's what he wanted. And championships, winning trophies, are built on good defence, solid defence, on clean sheets. And Arsenal, over the recent years, that's my only one criticism, is that they never look like getting a clean sheet in every game.
Do you still think that applies though, Steve? Because I've played against them, and I'm with you in terms of feared going to the Emirates, feared going to, especially when it was Highbury, and the type of players that they have. But they were that good then, and you know, I understand what you're saying in terms of they might take a step backwards to go forwards, but it's not like when Sir Alex left Man United, I don't think, in terms of, you know, be careful what you wish for. I just feel with Arsene, and I'm with you, that in terms of friends that are Arsenal fans, they really have turned again. And I find it sad because he has changed that football club drastically in terms of the style of play. But they frustrate me. They're probably one of the teams that frustrate me the most, because I do think they are capable of more. But I do think in this particular window, we've seen a little bit of a power shift in terms of the signings. You know, Aubameyang, McClaren, in terms of age profile, they're not Wenger type signings, are they really?
No, and I think, I don't know what, I mean, I know Arsene, I've met him quite a few times over the last few years on courses, and we've had days with the leaders, who are a group that get together every so often during the year, and very, very intelligent, great philosophy on the game. You know, a real professor, as he was when he first entered. And it's like we all have to do, Keith, and you have to do it going from a player to a pundit. You want to go into coaching, you have to change and you have to adapt. Now, have Arsenal, has Arsene, has the club adapted to the modern game? Have people overtaken? Because if you stand still in football, you know you go backwards 10 steps. You've got to keep going forward. You've got to keep adapting. You've got to keep looking at new ideas, new things, and looking at different things. And, you know, and I think that's one of the reasons why, you know, Sir Alex certainly retired when he did, because he felt the game was changing, and not in terms of on the field, but in terms of off the field, adapting to the salaries and what's happening in the dressing room because of salaries. And Arsene Wenger has to adapt to that, and Arsenal have to adapt to that. But you're absolutely right. I think, you know, this window we've seen a shift in terms of what's happened. Ozil re-signing, I think, has been a big shift, as you say, with the signing. And I hope in the summer that they go on, because I love Arsenal. I hate them and I love them. I hate playing against them. You know it. You can be run ragged for 90 minutes and lose 5 or 6 easily. And I love them, but I do think they need to get the recruitment right. I do think they need to get the defence right, because that's the platform of every team.
Hey Steve, it's Owen here. I wanted to ask you about Gareth Southgate. Of course, you know him very well, and you know the job that he's in very well as well. So when it comes to this summer, when it comes to the World Cup, just how much scrutiny will be on Gareth Southgate in terms of a media perspective, and how well capable is he of handling that pressure?
That we won't know until the summer. Limited management experience at Middlesbrough, coming from playing. It was excellent. I was on the pro license 2 weeks ago, just observing and joining in, really, just seeing what the modern pro license was like, and get to know some young coaches in the country. And Gareth gave an excellent talk about his career, about his start, and how he wasn't prepared for what happened, how being in the 21s of England has given him that experience, certainly international level, tournament level. And I think that's one advantage that Gareth has got over a manager coming out of, say, a club. He's used to the routine of players once every 3 or 4 months organising tournaments. What he's not used to is the scrutiny of the media, and that will be exposed in the summer and leading up to the World Cup, and how he does, because at the moment he's come in and kind of come in a little bit on the blind side, and not gotten an easy ride with the media, but has done very well, introduced young players, changed it a little bit of this and that, but everybody knows the true test of an England manager is at a tournament. And I was 3 tournaments with Sven. I mean, you've been on one as a player, Keith. it's poor. I can't tell. You can't explain and you can't express how huge and how big a tournament that World Cup is. And I saw that with Spain and England and the pressure. He handled it very well, was very calm. I think Gareth has got that temperament, but we won't know until it's tested.
With the benefit of time, Steve, has your perception of your own role with England and your time in that job changed over the years?
In terms of what?
In terms of potentially the way you come out of the England job, I would imagine that it was obviously an incredibly hard time for you. As the years have gone by, has your perception of that changed at all? Do you think better about when you look back on things? I saw you quoted in the Times recently saying that at least you reached the summit. It doesn't matter what happened at the summit, you climbed Everest.
I know, and somebody, when I was moaning about the experience in the England job, someone pointed that out to me, and people have done that quite a bit. But people. And then maybe when I retire and sit down and I got grandchildren on my knee, maybe I will look back and go, "Wow, that was a great time and a great opportunity and things like that." I'm just disappointed that I got the opportunity and didn't stay on the top of Everest, say, on the peak for that long. That was my one true regret. What has happened since has been tough, but I've got back on the bike. I went abroad, and I think opportunities abroad have come to me because of the England job, and therefore my development as a coach manager has been huge, absolutely massive, by going abroad, by working in Holland, by working in Germany, even by working in Israel with the Spanish staff. My knowledge, my understanding of the game, the way it's developing and changing, has grown phenomenally. So I would say that I've now grown from, a coach, a foreign coach, with an English mentality, and it's something which foreign coaches coming to England, I think maybe lack. And definitely when I went to Holland or Germany, all I gave them was that English mentality of really how to win games.
Steve, I've obviously lived in England for a long, long time, so I would have witnessed these expectancy levels of the national team, and it beggars belief at times in terms of, the criticism that's levelled. And I found it quite interesting lately when Paul Lambert got the Stoke job. There was huge surprise. There was obviously a lot of talk about our national manager Martin O'Neill getting the job, but when Paul Lambert got the job, everybody was very surprised. But I read a very good point that someone made, and it was basically he's a better manager now than the one who was doing very, very well at Norwich a few years ago because of the experiences that he's been through. But it seems as if in managerial circles, as soon as you've already spoke about Steve Gibson in terms of he could have sacked you on 2 or 3 occasions, you picked the right chairman, the fit was very good. Surely now you're in a much better place because of the experience you've had with the national team, managing in Germany and Holland, experience in Israel. You're in a better place now than you were 10 years ago.
Absolutely. I knew nothing 10 years ago. I knew nothing 10 years ago. I was flying by the seat of my pants 10 years ago, and here, there, and everywhere, and that's what experience brings you. I mean, what I like to see, and you're absolutely right. I feel I'm a far better manager, a far better coach, far better understanding of myself and the situation and what's required than 10, 15 years ago. And the damning of English coaches and British coaches really not getting an opportunity to manage, I feel it's one of my things that
the bugbear.
Yeah, because we are good coaches. But we're not admired in Europe. But I think our coaches have, and what I like to see is the likes of Moisey, Sam Allardyce, Roy Hodgson, Pardew, Lambert. They're getting jobs now and showing, especially in terms of Roy and Sam and Pardew, Moisey, that age and experience, you need that. And I realise that. And I know now that all I need to do is to get back in and make it a good fit with a good club and a good chairman, a good project, then you succeed. If you get a bad fit, you don't succeed. And that's the key thing, or one of the big things that I've learned, and that I certainly will be looking for the next time.
Steve, just to finish, Kevin De Bruyne has come out in the last couple of weeks and he's speaking about winter breaks. As a manager who's experienced that on both sides of it, in terms of when you've managed in Europe and they have the winter break, in England we're well documented, we don't. Looking maybe towards the World Cup and the preservation of the top players, what's your thoughts on it? Is it a sensible option, or are we just too bogged down with the whole tradition in England?
It's a must. Number one, it's a must. I experienced it in Holland, experienced it in Germany, even in Israel. We had a 3-week reseeding break. It's absolutely imperative, because it was such a relief. It gave me so much. You divided the season into two halves. Your team could easily change in the second half of your mentality, the rest that you get going back into training camp. It's like 2 seasons, and you're refreshed, and the players are refreshed, and you're ready to go again. But I think the key thing for national teams, and for England especially, I've done three tournaments with Spain. We didn't know what to do with the players at the end of the season. They looked absolutely dead on their feet. If you kept them going, they'd die. If you gave them a break at the end of the season, it was difficult to get them back to the levels again. Did you give them a little mini pre-season? Did you need to? It was so difficult. And we found that we were okay at the start of the tournament, but come the last 16, the quarterfinals, we were dead on our feet. And I remember it well in Japan 2002 against Brazil. Fantastic first half. We came in at half-time. I swear I'd never seen the players were white, exhausted, gone. We were 1-0 up, and I thought, we just need to hang on. Fatigue made us go down to 10 men, and in the end, lost 2-1. And every tournament since, the players have looked leggy, tired, and mentally, I think the key thing is mentally, because our top players are playing Champions League till the end. Mentally, it's very difficult to get up for a major tournament after a long slog of a season.
Steve, really, really appreciate you taking the time, and good luck in your next venture. Look forward to seeing you dugout very soon.
And you. Cheers, Keith. Thank you.
Mate.
Hey, hope you enjoyed that latest offering from Off The Ball. If you want to subscribe, and you should, check out just up here. All our latest stuff is just down here. Generally, knock yourself out.